When current goes from the drain to the source, it has to go through the channel, and the channel has a certain amount of resistance, which is just going to be there because there's resistivity of the channel material. But the current also has to pass through the drain and the source, which are N-type for a N-FET or P-type for a P-FET. They contribute additional resistance, which we actually need to go through some effort to minimize. Channel resistance is regarded as the kind of intrinsic resistance of the MOSFET, but the drain and source resistance are referred to as parasitic resistances. They are not necessarily things that aid the performance of the device. Current is going to go from the drain to the source through the channel, but it has to go through these extra resistances. R sub CH is the channel resistance. It's typically a few hundred ohms, at least in the example I'm going to give you, which uses some realistic numbers at where it is. Channel resistance is not parasitic resistance, it's intrinsic resistance. It belongs in the device, and the device's performance is based upon the channel resistance. But the parasitic resistance will be something else. The parasitic resistance has the effect of slowing down the circuit because it raises the resistor-capacitor time constant, which is kind of defined by the channel resistance and the oxide gate capacitance. And that time constant dictates how fast the MOSFET can operate. A high-frequency signal needs to be able to fluctuate at its frequency while the MOSFET keeps up with it as it charges and discharges. That's impacted by the extra resistance of the source and the drain. Inside the source and inside the drain is where that parasitic resistance resides. It's between the contact pads of the source and drain and the metallurgical junction, which is the place where the N and P-type doping change dominance. Let's go ahead then and look at a resistor model of the parasitic resistance, which accounts for the resistance inside the pad. We'll just look at the drain contact pad, which has 4 different sources of parasitic resistance. We'll go through each one of them: the contact, the sheet, the spreading resistance, accumulation resistance. And remember, R sub CH is inside the channel, so it's on the other side of the metallurgical junction. Pause the video for a minute and look at the specifications on this MOSFET. So you pause the video, you've got a gate source of 3 volts, so threshold voltage 1 volt. The MOSFET is 25 microns wide. In the two-dimensional cutaway view of a MOSFET, that's the depth into the screen. The MOSFET length, which is the distance basically from the source to the drain, is 1.5 microns. That's kind of large compared to the record small gate lengths that we have today. The oxide thickness is 10 nanometers. That's equivalent to knowing the capacitance of the oxide. Thickness is the permittivity divided by the capacitance, or rather C is epsilon area over distance, and we always talk about capacitance per unit area. That's what big C is. We will take the body effect to be 0 for simplicity. And now this is important. We're looking in the linear regime. So we want to find the resistance of the channel in the linear regime. That is, we're not at super high drain source voltage where we will enter into saturation. We're at a lower drain source voltage, so that this will be a constant. Also, it means that we can take out drain source voltage from our expression that we came up with the other day. The drain source current versus drain source voltage, VDS, and everything that multiplies VDS is 1 over the channel resistance, because current is voltage over resistance. This bit of the expression is 1 over the channel resistance. First thing we're going to need to do is find the mobility. Everything else seems to be given, but we need to find the mobility. Let's work on that for a minute here. That's surface mobility. And look at what we are told. We're given the gate source voltage and the threshold voltage and the oxide thickness. So we can go ahead and use figure 6.9 on page 203. So pause the video until you turn to page 203 and you have this figure in front of you. Okay, so now you have figure 6.9 in front of you. There are 2 horizontal axes. The bottom horizontal axis is for the P-type and the top horizontal axis is for the N-type, and they are labeled with a different formula. You calculate the value on those axes with these formulas. This is for the top axis. So it's for an N-type, V gate source plus V threshold plus 0.2 over 6 oxide thickness. And so you plug in the numbers that are given and you get 0.7 megavolts per centimeter. You get 700,000 volts per centimeter. Go to the graph and you read 340 centimeters squared per volt second for the surface mobility. And then everything else is a given, including oxide capacitance, which is permittivity of silicon dioxide divided by the thickness of silicon dioxide. So let's put that together then. W was 25 microns. Permittivity of silicon dioxide is the relative permittivity of 3.6 times epsilon naught in farads per centimeter. And so I'm doing all this in centimeters. You could do all this in meters, and you might feel compelled to use all MKS units here, but if you converted all these centimeters to meters, the conversion would cancel. So I don't bother. Those are 10 nanometers, 10 to the minus 6 centimeter thickness. Mobility of 340, we said, and difference in gate source and threshold voltage. There is our channel length of 1.5 microns. You can find out that the channel resistance is 280 ohms. Now, one quick thing I want to point out to you is the channel resistance, which is in the denominator on the left, is equal to an expression which has the channel length in the denominator on the right. In other words, you double the channel length, you double the channel resistance. That makes sense. Resistance is rho L over A. So for a really long channel, you have a really high channel resistance. For a really short channel, you have a really small channel resistance. And that's when the parasitic resistance will start to show up, because parasitic resistance is in series with the channel. So when the channel resistance is low, the parasitic resistance has an opportunity to exert itself, to be noticeable. Parasitic resistance is what you would call a short channel effect, because it is more pronounced when channels are short. Let's look at each one of these resistances. The R sub AC is the accumulation layer resistance. Now that's the resistance that will produce this delta L that you'll find in equation 611.1. There's R sub SP, which is due to current spreading. So current comes out of the drain and then it sort of fans out throughout the junction. It's the current spreading effect, and so you can imagine it's going to have something to do with the depth of the junction X sub I and how deep the inversion layer is, because that's over here. It has to get into the inversion layer over here. And it goes as the log of those two ratios. The sheet resistance is actually fairly small in a well-prepared MOSFET, and so we won't be in need of considering it actually, but I'll keep writing it. The contact resistance is the resistance between the tight end depth and the metallic contact pad. So it's contact resistance, and it depends on the size of the pad and the resistivity of the contact. So you put them all together, all four of them together, and you have the parasitic resistance, which is the resistance of the source and the resistance of the drain, which we'll take to be identical, take them to be designed the same. Total resistance from the source to the drain is the resistance of the channel plus the resistance of the drain plus that of the source. And the drain plus the source resistance is what goes together to make parasitic R sub PAR. And again, if you have a really long channel, R channel dominates. You need a short channel for the parasitics to matter, so there's short channel effect. Let's look at the effect on the drain source current and the saturation of the drain source current. And then we're going to explain where this mysterious equation 6.10.1 came from. So we have two considerations, one with and one without parasitics. If you have a pristine situation, ideal situation, where there are no parasitic resistances, the drain source saturation current is proportional to the gate source voltage minus the threshold. That's stated clearly in equation 6.9.14. With parasitics present, that saturation current is reduced. And so it's going to be reduced by IR of the parasitic resistances. And so we'll write it this way. It's going to be smaller by resistance to parasitic times that drain saturation current that you would have if the parasitics weren't there. That's our first order adjustment. So given the ratio of ID sat, which is this longer expression, divided by ID sat ideal, which is this shorter expression, simplify it a little bit. Make sure you follow that algebra, canceling out the VGS minus VT. That's a useful thing to know. So you can put a circle around this and save it and use it. How much the saturation current is reduced from the ideal value when you have parasitic resistance. There's a different expression in our textbook. Let's take a look at that. If I look at some typical values for these quantities, like an ID sat, saturation drain source current of about 1 milliamp, a parasitic resistance of less than 10 ohms, it will be typically 1 ohm. The gate source voltage minus V threshold, something on the order of 1 volt. Well, if these are the values, this expression right here is 0.01. And so that's a 1% adjustment. With these typical values, actually 10 ohm probably being a worst case, I have a adjustment on my drain source saturation current of about 1%. You can invoke the binomial expansion theorem and rewrite it. 1 minus a very small number is 1 divided by 1 plus that very small number. I don't have a good reason for doing that, except that that's how equation 6.10.1 is presented to us. So I just thought I would argue why that's okay to have. But again, I go with what's derived, but you can use that as well, as long as these really do come out to make a small number. That's the parasitic resistance. Its effect is to reduce the saturation current somewhat. Not a lot, but it reduces it.